Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast. I'm Andy Roth, alongside Phil Duvall.
Hi.
Today, we are starting Project Melway. Project
Project
Melway,
Melway.
the endeavor where once a week, released on Wednesdays, we will be going through every single movie in Mel Gibson's filmography, acting filmography.
Thank you.
Not yes, uh, not
Andy, are we going to do that in chronological order?
Phil, I'm glad you asked. We're going to do
Yes.
this in chronological order. Should be a lot of fun. I might be letting my feelings about his first movie, which we'll begin discussing in a moment, slip. Should be more fun as time goes on than it currently is.
There's nowhere to
Now,
go but up.
there's nowhere to go but up. A quick word, at Second Breakfast, we try to steer clear of spoilers, but for various reasons, all of them obvious, we're not so much going to do that. So if you want to remain pristine for Mel Gibson's acting debut, Summer City, you're going to want to shut this off pretty quickly.
Can I say something about that, Andy?
Please do.
The only way that we could spoil Summer City for you is by making you watch Summer City. That's the only way that you could be spoiled by it, is by in any way partaking anything of it. In fact, us talking about it might be more damage in the world. You know?
I,
By
I
invoking its name, we might be giving it some sort of powers it does not deserve.
I vehemently disagree with you, and I think much like the music of Bill S. Preston and Ted Theodore Logan, "Wild Stallions," Summer City can heal the world of all of its problems. Oh my word.
All
Okay,
we are is dust in the wind, dude.
historical babes. Okay, so I will, such that it has a plot. I will start us
Yes,
off
please.
by a quick thumbnail sketch. Uh, it tries to be a road picture sort of, as well as like a surfing movie, kind of like an Australian Easy Rider
That's
almost.
exactly what I was gonna say. It is an Australian Easy Rider. It is
Except
absolutely
except spoiler, Easy Rider is awesome, and this is something that is other
I would
than
put Easy Rider on
awesome.
my really boring movie list. That is way like it's really special and important to our culture that I hope I never have to see again. But you,
I will agree with that, but in terms of the facility with which the faculty with which a movie is made, Easy
okay,
Rider just blows it out of the water.
so
Anyway,
go ahead and let's go ahead and give the plot the
right.
plot I put in quotes, and then we'll talk.
This will have spoilers in it. Four friends go on a surfing vacation that is also serving as somewhat of a bachelor party for one of the friends.
Right?
It's the straight-laced friend, the Australian James Caan, Mel Gibson, and the guy who would have played Kaniki if the movie Grease had been made in Australia.
Nice, well said.
Right?
And the Mel Gibson role is really like charming, just charming Mel
Yes,
Gibson. I mean, it's just
he is kind of young, dumb, and endearing.
yeah.
And so the part survives pretty much completely on his charisma, and I think it does survive. I certainly think he comes off better than anyone else in the movie.
First of all, it is unquestionable to me watching the movie that when you watch and I mean it's hard for us to say this with any surety because we know his career now, but
Right.
it seems to me pretty clear when you watch it that it just there is something very magnetic about him. The very first time you see him, which is in the first scene, he's not the subject of the first scene, but he shows up and he smiles and he's like a kid.
Yeah.
But it's the Mel Gibson smile. Like you see the Mel Gibson smile as a 22-year-old or whatever he is,
Yes.
and it's like, oh, there it is.
There it
That's-
is. No,
that's the
absolutely.
thing.
I agree. A word of warning, besides the entire movie, which is terrible. He is fourth
Terrible.
billed. Of those friends, he is fourth
It's
billed.
not I. It's not even really a Mel Gibson movie. I sort of feel like we
Right.
got had. Our first entrance into Project Melway is a little bit shaky, but
Fair.
continue.
No, that's fair.
So they go on this bachelor party to. They're in Australia. They go to a bachelor party to a coastal town.
Yes.
They want to go up to a coastal town to go surfing because they're surfers. fascinating. It is Easy Rider plus Endless Summer.
Interestingly though, the person who is not a surfer is the guy for whom the bachelor party is being thrown.
Yes.
You never even
Surfing is
takes his
never
shirt
really
off
an
the
important
beach.
part of the movie. Surfing is more like the MacGuffin that gets them where they need to get to. It's not actually important.
At
The
all.
surfboard is not like the canoe in Deliverance. It's not important. It is just the thing that it's like someone is very clearly trying to define a specific generation of Australian culture
Yes.
the way that they saw Easy Rider defining a specific part of American culture.
Agreed.
10 years, and the movie comes out, 10 years later. So I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect sort of like
Totally.
you can say, So continue. So they get to this place,
And Australian Kaniki is a bit of a dog. He has
if
success.
you know what Andy means.
And if you don't, I'm about to explain it. He has
Oh.
success with the ladies and enjoys pursuing further success with the ladies.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he pursues a particular success with a particular young lady in like the water
water
tower of this. I'm just like, every time, like,
Weirdest thing I've
there
ever
isn't a
seen.
scene where someone is turning on a tap and then drinking out of it, but it would have been unpleasant for me to watch.
It's maybe one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
Indeed. And here's where the spoilers come in. Because it's a small town, word gets around that someone's virtue has been lost, and the father of said lost virtue doesn't take this well, and things go ill for our foursome after that. But what's interesting is, and it's not a long movie; it's less than an hour and a half long,
That's barely a half-hour show. Or you could make an hour-long drama out of that. You could make a Murder, She Wrote out of that. And by the way, I would love for them to bring Murder, She Wrote back, just for the record.
Totally.
They could bring Murder, right? They should bring Murder. Anyway, that's a whole other issue.
It's true.
But anyways, yeah.
So interestingly about the plot, it's clearly.
I'm sorry, the what?
Yeah, indeed. Oh,
You said
viewers,
plot. I'm so confused.
Phil, I have a surprise for you.
Yeah. The boot. Hail the boot. For the audio listeners, which there are people who listen to this only on the audio,
It's true.
Andy just did a visual. It's visual humor. He's drinking out of a big red shoe. He calls the boot, and he didn't have it before, but he has it again. It's a prop comedy.
Hang on,
Andy's the
listeners
next
who are
Carrot
not
Top.
listeners who are not also viewers. I want to get something straight. I don't call it the boot. It is a boot. Like it's not. I'm not drinking out of a regular cup and calling it the boot.
Shaped cup. You can't put your foot in it. But yes, I'm jibing you. I'm ribbing. It's a gentle ribbing from one friend to another. Day after election day, it's just a gentle rib.
Anyway,
Slight bar.
So full on spoilers now. The father comes and finds right before the father
Right.
arrives at where the four friends are staying.
Right.
The guy who is on his bachelor party finds out that Australian Kaniki has made time with his fiance, and so he basically turns into like an extra from the Deer Hunter, grabs a rifle. Runs into the woods for no reason, and he's like, I gotta get, after having a fight with Australian Kaniki, and he's like, I gotta get out of here. He's gonna kill me. And then you just see shots of him like staring with his rifle at nothingness. And then the father comes out, and so you're like, is he gonna kill Kaniki or is he not? Is Kaniki gonna get away? And of course, if you've seen a movie before, you're like, no, the father's gonna show up, and in front of the other guy, he's gonna be the one to kill Kaniki, and that is exactly what happens.
Yep.
The father shows up. Kaniki thinks it's his salvation. He opens the doors like, can I have a ride? And gets a hole blown in his chest.
Which, by the way, was very Easy Rider. I mean, the end being someone unsuspectingly being shot.
Yes.
It was very Easy Rider in that
very
sense.
True. And then there's this weird, and again, so this movie, say it's 85 minutes long. This all happens in the last 6 minutes of the movie.
I cannot tell you what the first 45 to 50 minutes of the movie were about. I couldn't tell you.
No.
I mean, it was, but here's what I will say. It was about, to me, and that's the thing, the music was fantastic. It's all like generationally charged music. And
Okay.
this really was, in many ways, I think the director who went on to direct nothing after this. Um, it was the director's, I think, really trying to capture the mood of a generation and of a culture of its time. And I thought
Sure.
that from a purely cultural or sociological perspective, I was actually kind of interested in it
Yeah.
because Australian culture and Southern Californian culture have certain, like, the surfing aspects, and it was a lot of California surf music that they were listening to. And then obviously the Easy Rider comparison, I thought was, it's just, I'm glad you said it and I said it. It was very clear to me. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of, so even though it was a dreadful film in every way.
Yeah, every way.
There's a fire engine pulling into my parking lot.
They're going to douse you for talking about Summer City.
It's the second one today.
Awesome.
No big deal.
You're
I may have to go in a minute. We'll see. Okay.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. Thank you, Ed Wood. So, anyways,
Go ahead.
Look, can we just? How much do we really want to talk about this terrible movie, and how much do we want to talk about Mel Gibson? I guess is the question.
Very briefly, I want to pay homage to the last like 40 seconds of the movie, where after the father kills Kaneki, he becomes like the unstoppable villain in an action movie because he gets shot like 3 times by the guy in his bachelor. And okay, it was very weird. I do have a couple of things I learned by researching this movie, and yes, I actually researched this movie. And then we could talk about Mel Gibson. Maybe my favorite line in the history of cinema. You've got young Mel Gibson coming out of the surf. Ladies, he's shirtless, and they're listening to the radio, and then the song ends, and the DJ goes, "Oh, what a sound! That really stokes me. Well, gang, gotta wrap it up. Look after yourselves out there, and remember, a Rick, a Pootie, and a Fan Doogly." And I was like, oh, Australia, you don't mean anything with your slang. A Rick, a Pootie, and a Fan Doogly. I want you to know that in the next week, I'm going to use each of those terms at least 10 times.
I hope you use them in a work capacity.
There's just not.
I hope
not
you use them in a work. I think you need to be like when you're talking to a client, be like, that's a real Rickapoodly. That's right,
and if it's not a Rickapoodie, it's definitely a Fandoogly.
Now look at you and be like, sorry, legal jargon.
Also, if you do get to the end of this podcast and think for some reason you want to add this to your Netflix queue, just be aware of this. The audio is terrible. You're dealing with thick Australian accents, and there are no subtitles.
It gets better. It was 16 millimeter that they blew up to 35 millimeter for the shooting. That's why it looks so grainy and terrible. It's awful. It is watching a home movie. My wife goes, My wife was just like the first couple minutes, and she was like, I don't need to care about this, do I? It was awesome. And I go, no, honey, you don't. I felt like a Walter at the end of Lebowski when he's like, no, Walter, these men are cowards. You don't have to. I was like, no, honey, you don't have to worry about it. You can do anything else, and I guarantee you it will be more fruitful than what I'm about to go through.
Yes.
So
indeed.
I just think it's funny that our country had a national election yesterday, and that wasn't the most exhausting thing that happened to me. The most exhausting thing that happened to me was the 85 minutes of watching this film.
I couldn't agree more.
Mel Gibson is adorable. He is so charming, and I mean, it is what later on we will see in other of his movies is that the charm is what pulls him through some of the other stuff. Like, you buy into a lot of the other stuff, but you see the charm. Pretty much, that's all that he is. He's just sort of like he's the pretty boy in the movie, but he pulls it off. I mean, it's not, it's just he's got so much more charisma than ever. It's kind of like watching a famous person in a home movie. It would be kind of like if you were shooting something in your backyard, and then all of a sudden, like, Bruce Willis was in it, and then he left, and then we were all like, "What was that?" "Oh, that was my Uncle Jim," and then they kept moving on. Can we watch Uncle Jim some more? No. So, anyways,
the one thing he didn't pull off was the unfortunate blondish hair that they had him rock. That was very strange. But I totally agree with you. He's just winning. He's a winning personality, and he is not asked to do much in his role, but you instantly see why the other three, whatever they're like, and it's a mystery because they're all terrible. Whatever they're like, you see why those three would be friends with him because he's just he's a fun guy.
I would say that the guy who ends up all Deer Hunter at the end, he's not a bad actor. And he ended up having a career, and he has a small role, though I'm not sure what it will be, in the new Tarantino movie, Django Unchained. So he is not gone forever. He is someone who has had a career. He looks a little bit like Townes Van Zandt, who I know it's not him because Townes Van Zandt is dead and also not an actor, but and everyone should listen to Townes Van Zandt. Why aren't you listening to Townes Van Zandt right now? Turn us off and listen to Townes Van Zandt.
Phil.
Townes Van Zandt is kind of better than us, but okay. That's fine. Also a great Texan poet. So, speaking of which, we need a theme song for our show.
Yeah.
We need to come into I'm thinking strumming the ukulele, or we need to have someone write something. Second breakfast.
Maybe a nice zither. I'm a fan of zither music.
Okay. I was hoping for something good, but okay, that could do too.
So just put that bug in your ear.
Okay, so what else do you want? Yeah. So what else do you want to talk about Mel Gibson?
Nothing except the next movie that we're watching.
Let's talk about the next movie we're watching for Project Melway.
Next week, we will be featuring Mad Max. Very exciting. Not the first time I've seen it. Not the first time Phil has seen it, I don't believe.
It's been a very long time, but yes.
Right? Many spectacular car stunt and chase scenes. They're just amazing.
Psyched.
Some of the best
Psyched.
ever committed to film. And as an added bonus, the character, the Rum Tum Tugger from Cats, is the bad guy. So
that's what I was really looking forward to.
I'm telling you, I'm not the actor. He looks like the Rum Tum Tugger. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And you will hear all about that next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, Project Melway, episode 2.
Project Melway, episode 2.
And in conclusion,
Indeed.
let us say, don't ever see Summer City.
Never.
Wipe it from your memory.
Right.
Forget everything about the fact that we talked about it. Never speak of this podcast to anyone. Well, I take that last part back. Tell everyone about this podcast. Maybe don't even let them know, but be like, they're talking about something. Don't worry about what they're talking about. Right. You don't want to know.
Indeed. I could not concur more with Phil's sentiments. Guys, this has been another Second Breakfast, our first Project Melway. We're very excited to continue Project Melway. I'm Andy Roth. That's Phil Duvall. We'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye now.